Okay, so we got to the end of our first print and we got some issues. And so in the sake of transparency or whatever, I want to walk y'all through what the issues are and how we're going to fix them on the next print. So here's the title of this video is, first failed print. Okay, so here's this part. Let's talk about what's wrong with this part. First, I'm going to get the build plate out of there. Okay. It's going to make sense right away. All right, notice how this part, it's got this is what they call the brim. It's like a flat piece of extrusion that basically sticks the part to the board really well. And what you should notice when you're looking at this is that little brim, it's only around this one side, and then the rest of the part did not have any brim. That's peculiar. It kind of makes it seem like maybe this was the only part of the part that was really touching the build plate. If we come down here and look at it from another angle, you're gonna see what the other maybe bigger problem is. This part actually warped as we printed. This was not touching the build plate, or if it was touching the build plate, it was like barely touching it. It didn't have good positive contact, or in other words, the printer didn't realize that this part was supposed to be touching the build plate with the same amount of touchiness as this side of the part was. So what happened is, as this thing printed, it warped slightly up like a piece of bacon. It started to curl. This side stayed stuck down to the brim, and this side started to curl because it wasn't getting stuck down. So here's what we're gonna do, all right? When I get this thing and I look at what the gap is like on that piece, it's a little less than 1/4 of an inch. It's maybe like between 1/8 and 1/4, something, maybe 3/16 or something like that. So here's my thought. This piece, it may not be a total failure if you keep in mind that these parts got to get glued together, and it's got to get filled and sanded and primed, and there's going to be some degree of concealment that occurs naturally throughout the process of joining these parts together. So here's what I'm going to do. There's a button in my slicer software that will make sure my part is laying flat on the build plate. I did not hit that button because I felt pretty confident that I had it flat. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to delete all the files that I already cooked up for this project. Okay, let's go right here. USB drive. I got a bunch of stuff in here. Okay, helmet stuff. We're gonna delete all that stuff because this is all stuff that I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it necessarily, but this is just is introduced a new factor of uncertainty that are the other parts all touching positively to the build plate, or am I gonna have the same problem again where I got inconsistent contact across the bottom of the part? So just to be better safe than sorry, I'm just gonna delete all that stuff off my flash drive. Yes. And then I'm gonna go to the folder where I got it from, which was in here. I'm gonna delete all these G codes because I can make them again pretty quick, y'all. We'll delete that. And I'm gonna go into slicer. Okay, so the first part that I just printed was the front left bottom. I'm not gonna reprint that one just yet, but we will go ahead. Let's go through and look at them all and just let's remedy their relationship to the build plate and make sure that we're on the same page about the build plate contact. I did get one of these other printers taken apart so I can identify what pieces need to be replaced. It's basically melting, or it's dripping plastic while I'm trying to make it go. Okay, so here's what I did. I opened up this slicer file, which is the back left of the helmet. Here it is. And all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click this thing one time to select it. And I'm gonna go over here to the rotate button. And I'm just gonna hit this button that says lay flat. Now what's gonna happen when I do that, it's gonna move my part. It's not gonna be sitting in the same spot it was in before. But that's okay. It didn't really like affect what I was going for. So looking at this, I'm gonna kind of twist it around. I'm just using the arrow keys to like rotate this thing. When I left arrow key, it rotates left. When I right arrow key, rotates right. Front, forward arrow key tips it up so I can see over the top of it. Every once in a while when I'm in here working in a slicer, these arrow keys stop working and I just like save and close it and open it back up and they work again. So it's just kind of a quirk of this software. Okay, so looking at this, I feel like it looks pretty good. A trick that I have found with these Dremels that tends to be helpful is like, if you try to print stuff in the back left corner of this build plate, a lot of times, or sometimes, what it can cause is that the filament is actually gonna like get kinked up and broken. If you look in here, how it's all mounted, so the filament comes through this plastic tube and comes out like up here in the back left part of the machine. So when you move this extruder all the way to the back left, it kind of makes a sharp angle with this, the little like exposed length of filament that's not supported by the little plastic feed tube. So what I try to do a lot of times whenever I'm setting up my slicer, I will slice stuff like further to the right. I don't try not to get too ridiculous with it. I don't want to be right up on the edge, but like, so like it's looking like maybe about like 35. Another thing in here, sometimes I'll slide these things around and I'm looking at the number, what it's saying I'm at. So like right now it's saying my X axis is basically like 35 or roundabout there. And then I'll actually type in here a nice round number so it looks a little nicer. It's a little more replicable also. If I have an actual number there, I kind of know, I don't know, it seems better to me. Okay, so this is gonna be the helmet. I'm gonna go ahead and update the version number just so I don't have any confusion with myself about whether this part has been remedied or not. So this is now the helmet back left V2. I'm gonna hit prepare. It's gonna run me a estimated time. 4 hours, 54 minutes. Now I'm gonna go, let's see, I wanna save the file. It's important to remember that you save stuff where you think you're saving stuff. That obviously can be a challenge sometimes, but this should be good. Okay, G codes, helmet, back left V2, save. Okay, so that one's fixed. And now right here, I'm just gonna go file, save. Is it save project? Can't remember which one, no. It might be save selection to file. I wanna make sure I overwrite the slicer file that was already in there. Here we go. Helmet, back left, V2. We'll just save it in the same folder. It won't replace the old one, but that's fine. Since it's got its own name, I won't get it confused. Okay, so that one's done. I got 5 more to redo like that. I could probably do it pretty quick. I'll just probably do it right here on the screen just because that way y'all can see what I'm doing and, whatever. If I'm gonna sit here and do it, I might as well film it too. So here we go. Next one, this is the back right V1. Okay, there's my part. I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna hit the rotate button. I'm gonna hit lay it flat. It's gonna think for a second. It moves my part. How it thinks is, better. So now I'm kind of taking it at its word that it's got good contact all the way along this surface down here. Now, is that the case? I don't know, maybe not. We're gonna have to basically print it and see if it behaves differently than it did last time. And unfortunately, that's like basically, that's just what it is, you know what I mean? You can do all the setup and you can beat yourself to death, you know, taking so much time and being so careful with the setup, but at the end of it, it's like you're not really gonna know really how it's gonna come out until you hit print and just let it print. And you know, over time, as you do this more, you kind of get to develop a pretty good spidey sense for like when something's going wrong or when something's like probably about to go wrong. So, you know, there's some like minor interventions you can do here or there if you see something going wrong. But for the most part, it's like you just got to set it up and let it run. And just whatever is going to come out, you kind of go from there and make lemonade. If something's got to get redone, you got to redo it. Okay, so this one's good. This is the helmet back right V2. Like that. Wow, baby. Okay, then I'm gonna go prepare. I clicked prepare right there. I just didn't have my camera pointed. And we're gonna go save to file. Save to file. We're in slicer files. Oh no, this is the G code. This is the G code we're saving. We need to be in the G code folder. Save. Okay, that's saved. Now I'm gonna go file, save selection to file. Seems like it's thinking or something. Maybe I gotta click it first. There we go, save selection to file. This is the helmet, back right V2. We wanna put it in the slicer folder. Safe. Okay, 2 down, 4 to go. Bear with me. Shut that one. Okay, back left V2, back right V2. Next is the front left bottom V1. Okay, this thing, I'm gonna click it. I'm going rotate, lay flat. It's gonna think for a second. It's gonna move my part, and then I'm gonna manually rotate it back so it fits on the build plate. It's like a little of this, a little of that. I'm gonna change my camera angle so I know if I'm looking at what I think I'm looking at. See, I'm gonna do one more. Turn out of it like that, okay. All right, and we'll move it this way, like, let's say 30 milli. 30 milli. And this one I think should be 0. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay. All right, this is helmet front left bottom. It's gonna be V2. Prepare. This button is where the prepare is. I just always click it before I get my camera over there. And then we're gonna go save to file. We're gonna save it to file. This is the G code. We're going in the G code folder. G codes. This is front left bottom V2, save it. Then we're gonna go file, save selection, oops. I meant to say save selection to file. Go up to the slicer folder. So much of doing like, you know, CAD, or really this ain't even CAD, but you know, computer stuff. I don't even know the right word right now, but so much of doing this stuff is like, it really comes down to like, it's kind of monotonous, and it's kind of, it's just about getting in a workflow and just kind of spending the time under tension doing the thing. You know, unfortunately, like every time I save the G code, I gotta go like change the folder because it tries to automatically put the G code folder. This one's doing something weird. This one's parts way out here on the side. That's unusual, but let's just move it up like that. In fact, let me see. Front, left, top. I almost feel like this one is going to be better if it gets rotated upside down. I'll tell you why. It's because this is a part that I split using Mesh Mixer. So the line, like the cut down here at the bottom that cuts the top part from the bottom part, that's gonna be like the flattest surface on this whole part, because we like digitally cut it. It's not like contoured or rounded edges like this stuff up here is. So since I have that to work with on this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. Now the magic button we got to hit still is lay flat. That was okay. So I've encountered this thing where my arrow keys are not working anymore. So what I'm actually going to do is just close this file and just reopen it. Now it's got me curious too on the last one, the front left bottom. I wonder if I had it flipped the way I want it flipped or not. Okay. Let's do this one first, and we'll go back and look. But yeah, what I was saying is, you know, unfortunately, so much of this is like monotonous. Every time I go to save the G code, it opens me up in the slicer folder, because the last file I saved was a slicer file, and then every time I go to save the slicer file, it opens me up into the G code folder, because the last file I saved was G code. So it's like you know, sometimes you kind of feel like you're just, it's not as efficient as you'd like it to be. But a lot of it too is operator error. I know it's like, I have a bad tendency to kind of just like do whatever's the most available solution, even if like in the long run, it's not always the best move. Okay, so I got this thing to fit on the board now. It's like sitting on there like I want it. So I'm gonna go rotate, lay it flat. It's gonna think for a second. It'll move it somewhere. Okay, and then I'm just gonna tweak it slightly. Like I said, remember, I don't really want so much stuff printed in the back corner. So like, I would rather rotate this thing like this if I can, to kind of get it. We can do this back corner and this front corner, but not like that back corner. That would be better, I think. Okay, so looks like that's gonna work. I'm gonna go right here. This is now the V2 helmet, FLT V2. This time I'll get it on camera. I'm about to hit prepare, just like that. It's gonna think for a second. It'll give me an estimated time. I'm gonna go save to file. Save to file. Okay, I'm saving the G code, so I gotta get back in the G code folder. G code. This is FLTV2, save. All right, it's saved. Now I'm gonna go file. I gotta click this first. File, save selection to file, and the slicer folder. This is VLT15V2. Save. Let me check something. I hope this has been working like I want it to. Yeah. I was making sure it didn't change my adhesion settings back to default. That would suck. Okay, real quick, before we get too far away from it, the one I did right before this, FLB V2, let me see if I flipped it the way I really want to flip it or not. I'll say too, it's like sometimes when you're doing, yeah, I did. Sometimes when you're doing this stuff, there is going to be some pressure to just like, you know, send it. I would advise that we resist that compulsion, just because a lot of times if we send it, you know, and there was a little minor error that we might have been able to identify if we took a little more time and thought about it a little more, what we're going to end up with is like a lot of wasted time and money and material, because you know, these prints, if you try to print one of these prints, you know, all these parts, they're fairly reasonable length prints. It's like I think the longest one here is like 6 hours. So definitely, thank you. definitely what we want to do is like put the forethought into it to make sure that we're not about to send a 6-hour print that's going to have some kind of an issue in the last 5 minutes that we could have maybe identified if we thought about it a little more up front. So that's a recurring thing here. It's like the setup is everything, you know. Taking the time to open up one of these files one more time and kind of just double, triple verify that it's really going to do what I think it's really going to do is, you know, that's pretty much the name of the game we're playing here. So, okay, got that one renamed. I'm gonna go prepare. Dang, this is a long video. You know, big shout out to whoever's still watching this 20-minute long video. Save to file, save to file. I think I got one more piece after this. I got G codes, V2, save. It's saved. I'm gonna click this again. File, save selection to file. Slicer. Right here. Okay, I think this is the last one coming up right now. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna open the last one. This is the helmet front right top. I thought about, okay, yeah, this one I want to do upside down because I want to print it on this cut that I cut because it's probably going to be flatter than the stuff up here. I thought about just fixing the first one of these parts and saying, you get it, you know, just do that 6 times. But in the sake of transparency, or for the sake of transparency, whatever is the right phraseology there, I want to show you all the mistakes because, like, the thing about 3D printing, you know, there's some mistakes, there's some working the kinks out, or you know, getting the bugs out of the system that has just part of the process. And so if I just show you the like highlight reel and don't show you all the stuff that went wrong along the way, it's like not wrong along the way. It's not very like educational. It's kind of like I'm just showing off, or I'm like showing you a cool thing that I can do. But if I take the time and actually show you how frequently it doesn't do what I want it to do, it's a little bit more like relatable to people just trying to get into this stuff. So, okay, so I got this one. I feel pretty good about that. I hit the little button to do the thing. So we're gonna go right here. I'm gonna say helmet front right top V2, like that. Prepare. And I'll say this too, you know, the 22 minutes I just spent fixing these files, man, once they're fixed, they're fixed. So that's kind of like one of the big positives about 3D printing is like, once I interact with this file enough and, you know, print enough prototypes of it to kind of like iron out all the issues and I get it perfect, well, like then every time you hook it up to the printer and say print, it's going to print the part perfectly. So it's like, ultimately, even though there is this headache on the front end of getting it to behave the way that you want it to, once you achieve that, you know, once you get it all lined out like that, it's just going to work right every time. So a lot of times it can be discouraging. It's like, you know, I spent a couple hours last night working on all this stuff and getting these files ready, and then to come in today and print the first file and have it like not print totally successfully is discouraging. And then to have to sit down and invest another half hour and redoing stuff that I kind of already did, that's obviously, it's kind of a bummer. But you know, in the scheme of things, it's a half hour I'm never gonna have to invest on this project again, because once I get it right, that's it. So okay, so what we've done just now is we made a V2 of all these same parts. What I'm probably gonna do right now is, how do we make a new folder? We're gonna put a new folder in here called V1. Put all the V1 files in there. I'm just gonna leave V2 loose in the folder for now because it'll be the only other V version. If we get into V3, I'll make a folder to dump these into. But so that's my slicer files, just in case I need to modify something again like I just did. Here's my G codes, and we should be able to send something to print now. Thanks, everybody.